Welcome to The Explainer. So today, we're urgently breaking down some massive structural shifts in elite U.S. college admissions. Look, if you're a parent or a student navigating the path to top-tier universities between now and 2026, you absolutely need to listen closely to this. We're going to explore exactly why the old relied-upon formulas for college admissions, well, they aren't just outdated anymore. They're actually actively hurting applicants today. Okay, let's dive right in.
This is the heartbreaking question we're starting with today. You see, many Korean and immigrant parents who, have sacrificed literally everything for their kids' education are just absolutely shocked when their children face a wall of rejections. We're talking about students armed with flawless 4.0 GPAs, 1580 SATs, and just a massive laundry list of extracurriculars. It forces us to ask a really uncomfortable but absolutely necessary question. Why is perfection failing?
Well, the reality is we're seeing massive, unprecedented application inflation. Common App submissions recently topped 10 million. Yeah, 10 million. That's an 8% increase from just the previous year. What this means in practice is that perfect numbers are now startlingly common. The pool of applicants with flawless academic records has grown so incredibly large that perfect isn't a differentiator anymore. It's basically just the new average among top-tier applicants.
And the fallout from that inflation? It is staggering. Ivy League acceptance rates are plummeting across the board. We're looking at Harvard at an estimated 3.7%, Yale at 4.24%, Columbia at 4.23%. Because a single student is now applying to upwards of 10 to 15 different schools, acceptance rates at selective universities have tanked into this hyper-competitive 3 to 4% range. It's wild.
Now, since 90% of applicants to these top schools already possess those perfect numbers, top colleges are no longer looking for merely qualified students. Being qualified, having that perfect GPA, the high SAT, all those APs, that's just the baseline now. What they are desperately searching for are undeniably memorable students. Students who bring a distinct personal identity, genuine intellectual curiosity, and just undeniable authenticity to the table.
Section 1. The inflation of perfection.
You might have heard the news that standardized tests are making a comeback, with schools like MIT, Harvard, and Yale ending their pandemic-era test optional policies. High SAT and ACT scores are required once again to combat massive grade inflation in high schools. But here's the critical takeaway. A 1580 SAT is literally just a ticket to the review table. It's the minimum entry fee to prove your academic stamina. It is not the secret weapon that's going to win you an acceptance letter.
So, the crucial point here is how you achieve your grades. Admissions officers now heavily scrutinize academic rigor. They actually prefer a student who challenged their intellectual limits in incredibly hard AP or honors classes, even if it resulted in a 3.85 GPA. That student is vastly preferred over one who protected a perfect 4.0 by hiding behind easy, safe courses. Colleges want to see intellectual courage, right? Not just a flawless, risk-free transcript.
Moving on to Section 2. From checklist to narrative.
The single biggest trap parents fall into today is treating high school like a checklist of disconnected achievements rather than cultivating a cohesive, compelling story. To stand out in that top 1%, a student absolutely must weave an academic narrative. This means every single choice they make, the rigorous course selections, activities, personal essays, teacher recommendations, their intended major, it all has to align. It's like a giant puzzle pointing toward one clear, focused intellectual identity. It's not about doing everything, it's about doing one thing incredibly well. Let's look at how this actually builds out in the real world. Instead of joining, say, 5 random, disconnected clubs, a biology student's narrative flows logically. Step 1. They take rigorous classes like AP Bio and Chemistry. Step 2. They conduct long-term field research tracking local water pollution. Step 3. They present that data to the city council for real community impact. And finally, Step 4. They write an authentic essay about the patience required in scientific failure. Now that is a memorable narrative.
Section 3. The power of agency and impact.
Let's define what colleges actually mean by agency. Agency means stepping outside your comfort zone and outside of established school structures. It's the power to independently identify a real-world problem and take action. So it's not simply joining an existing coding club at school. No, true agency is noticing your grandmother struggles to read her prescriptions and then independently building a multilingual medicine app to help her and others at the local senior center.
And going hand in hand with agency is impact. Colleges are looking for measurable, authentic, and sustained change created by the student.
They really do not want to see a flashy, incredibly expensive 2-week volunteer trip abroad that parents just paid for. What they want to see is a 3-year, greedy commitment to local low-income mentoring, complete with proven data showing real academic improvement in those kids. Sustained local impact always wins out.
This means we absolutely must definitively shift from the outdated approach of cramming 10 shallow, disconnected activities into the Common App to the modern rubric. You need to focus on just 2 or 3 deep, meaningful projects that create a distinct spike in the student's profile. Depth and density of involvement completely overwrite the sheer quantity of activities. Now, I want to speak directly to Korean and immigrant families for a moment here. You must help your child break the model minority stereotype. Please, do not let your child become a formulaic profile. Just another application that's great at math, plays a classical instrument at a high level, and wants to be a doctor or engineer, but lacks a unique personal voice. Colleges want diverse communities. Let your child find their true, unique colors, whether that's classical literature, culinary arts, or grassroots marketing.
Section 4. Behaviors parents must stop.
To facilitate this massive shift from a manufactured applicant to a real, compelling human being, there are critical behaviors parents must stop immediately. Stop writing their essays. Admissions officers read thousands of these. They can easily spot a 40-year-old adult's voice masquerading as a 17-year-old. Stop dominating college tours and speaking for them. Stop forcing them into prestigious majors they have zero passion for. Stop copying the exact path of the neighbor's kid who got into Stanford last year. Cloned applications are rejected immediately. And importantly, stop avoiding financial aid out of fear. Top schools are need-blind, meaning applying for aid through FAFSA and the CSS profile won't hurt their chances, and a well-crafted financial narrative is essential.
Which brings us to Section 5, Conditions of an Unforgettable Student. In an era where generative AI can write a grammatically flawless, completely generic essay in about 5 seconds, discovering the unforgettable student requires something entirely different. Admissions officers at schools like Yale and Harvard are actively hunting for everyday intellectualism and vulnerability. They want to read about the intellectual conversations a student has at the lunch table. They want to see genuine curiosity without the promise of a reward. They want to see failure, the student's authentic voice, and their unique sense of humor. Polish is out, raw human authenticity is in. So I strongly urge every parent watching this to fundamentally change the conversation at the dinner table. Stop asking, what else can my child add? What other club can they join? What other AP class can they take? Instead, ask yourself and your child, what unique story are they building? The goal isn't to manufacture a perfect student, but to reveal a real student with direction, depth, purpose, and impact.
I'm going to leave you with this crucial thought to guide your family's journey moving forward. Remember this above all else. Perfect numbers may open the door, but identity, direction, and impact are what make a student unforgettable. So, take a step back from the checklist and ask yourself, what unforgettable story is your child going to tell?